One station making history every day.
Chicago, Chicago.
Now, John Cass and Lauren Cohn.
89 WS. In constant sorrow all through his day. I am a man of constant sorrow. I've seen trouble.
Once these cuts take effect, thousands of teachers and educators will be laid off, and tens of thousands of parents will have to scramble to find childcare for their kids. Air traffic controllers and airport security will see cutbacks, causing delays across the country. Even President Bush's director of the National Institutes of Health says these cuts will set back medical science for a generation. Already, the threat of these cuts has forced the Navy to delay the deployment of aircraft carriers.
Lauren Cohn, John Cass here, 89 WS. We're taking your calls, 591-8900. The sky is falling, Lauren.
The sky is falling. The Congress is left for the weekend.
And the president is scaring the bejesus out of everybody on stuff that's not even true yet.
We've got reporters at the airport talking to passengers, right, saying, you know, are you scared about the airport? And even if this stuff does go through, I just want to tell everybody,
right,
it's not until April 1st. There's notifications, all these things that have to happen.
Why are reporters at the airport scaring people, saying, aren't you afraid that you'll be stuck here forever? I mean, I have one of my sons, Spiro, is going to be flying tonight to take a visit to the U.S. Naval Academy for possible college. And already, you know, his grandmother, Yaya, is like, are the planes going to... What is that? Why are they scaring everybody?
People are afraid. Because
they can't cut 4% out of a several trillion dollar budget. 4%.
But you know what? We can spend $11.4 million for the director of the FBI and the attorney general to not use the luxury jets they ordered a while ago for global terrorism, but rather just, you know, for executive travel.
Now, let's see. Eric Holder, the U.S. attorney, the attorney general,
right,
who told the United States, the people of America, that we were racial cowards like 2 minutes after we elected Barack Obama, first black president. Okay, Eric, and who else?
We had FBI Director Robert Mueller.
They're taking, they're using beautiful private jets to what? Go pick up their groceries?
Right. I mean, these are travel expenses that they should be paying out of their own pocket. $11.4 million. This is what the Government Accountability Office found from 2007 to 2011. And yet this is one of the groups that they're threatening to, you know, have furloughs in the FBI's, you know, have fewer people patrolling the borders.
Right, because Eric Holder can't wait an hour to fly to a meeting. He has to get there when he wants, on his own time, in his own jet, because these are the kings and queens of the United States. Okay? Cindy LaGrange, what the heck? Cindy.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm surprised that you haven't brought up the fact that in Spanish the question means kidnap or hijack.
Does it? ¿Cómo está usted or something? What?
Sequester.
It does.
In Spanish means kidnapped. Okay.
Okay.
And that's what they're doing to us.
They're scaring and kidnapping us.
Exactly.
Big government kidnapping us. This is, yeah. And what do you think of the jet? Would you like to have a jet like that? $11 million last year. Oh, but let's cut some poor air traffic controller.
Right.
And scare everybody.
And
shuts down a runway.
The other thing is the way they throw these numbers around. That, like, they have no concept of what these numbers mean. You know, with Maxine Waters saying 170 million jobs are going to be cut, there's only 139 million jobs in the country.
They just keep talking.
It's crazy.
I know. Thanks a lot, Sidney.
Meanwhile, Congress has left the building, everybody. You know, the president's going to be meeting later this morning with some of the congressional leaders and saying, I guess his deadline to sign this is tonight at midnight. Meanwhile, Congress has gone home. We're done.
Hey, Barack, you pushed the goalpost back, baby. You did. This is yours.
This is yours. Yeah.
And now you're trying to scare everybody else. Elwood in Decatur.
Hey guys, how are we all doing today?
How you doing,
It's
Elwood?
Happy Friday.
Excellent. Yeah, happy Friday. All we do is get rid of some of the snow and start playing golf again. Anyways, the president running around scaring everybody. The thing that people don't realize is that everything that he wants to is scaring people. It's all public sector positions, okay? And in those public sector positions, you've got layers upon layers upon layers of bureaucratic red tape that they won't even consider cutting.
No, because those are the people that go and get the vote out.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Elwood. Thank you. John and Roselle. John, you're on with Lauren Cohn, John Cass, 591-8900.
Hey, how you guys doing?
How you doing?
Hey, listen, if you run the numbers, like, for example, if you go on the Google and you look up the last budget for the that was released by the Government Accounting Office, it's something like $2.5 trillion. If you take the $85 billion divided by the 2.5 trillion and you convert that into a percent, you get less than 0.5%. That's really what $85 billion is. It's nothing. Nothing at all.
It's
85, but it's not $85 billion. It's
42.
It's really $44 billion, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. Of that 40, of the rest of the cuts will take place in over 10 years. They never cut
this
a thing.
This is a blip.
You know.
So then basically what you do is you take that, cut it in half. Basically, if you compare that to $1, you're talking about 1/10 of a penny.
That is,
really what that
but they want to, you know what? That's why if they can't cut this, what are they going to do about the big entitlements that are bankrupting us? See,
yeah, like the payroll that we have for the president and the Congress. I think we ought to cut there.
Why not? Why not?
Well,
Thanks a lot.
They're not changing that.
Why are they even taking money?
There's going to be a Fox
money,
business expert coming up, right?
Yeah.
A couple minutes to help us out, break this all down for us.
Yes, and we'll talk to let's see, it's Ellen MacDonald, correct?
Yeah,
from
she's
Fox
going to help
Business.
us out here because we need some help this morning.
I tell you what we all need. Take your hand, open it wide, point it at Eric Holder for taking the $11 million jet, and say, "Nah, I wish it was." It's March now today, right? Today's March
1st.
March 1st. He could have won the Mutza of the Month in today's paper, but instead.
It's the day your mortgage is due and your assessments and your rent and all those other bills you got to pay is
the Elk Hits
you're afraid
people.
And you're staying inside your home today.
Nah, Mr. Mutza for Mr. Holder. Elizabeth MacDonald will join us next, back after this. A Mutza to the Obama administration for scaring the heck out of people not being able to cut. And with us now is Elizabeth MacDonald from Fox Business Network. Ms. MacDonald was the senior editor at Forbes magazine, where she covered the stock market and earnings news and created the world's most 100 powerful women annual list. Pardon me, get that out, John. And she's on the line to help us out with what's going on now. Elizabeth, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm right here.
Good morning. So what's going on now this morning in Washington?
So it looks like there will be a meeting between the GOP leaders and Senator Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi and possibly the president later today. But it looks like the sequestration cuts will be taking place. The numbers that are being talked about are not what the media has been reporting. It's going to be $42 billion in the fiscal year ending in September 2013. That's about 0.26% of gross domestic product. The other $43 billion is, not signing a future federal contract.
So, for all the years that you covered the private industry and business, if CEOs were told they had to cut, the revenues were down, but they couldn't cut 2% out of a trillions of dollars of budget, what would happen to that CEO?
I think they would be shown the door.
Exactly.
And so would the CFO and the rest of the board, because that's just not the way that a business would be run. So what we're talking about essentially is $1.2 trillion in budget cuts over 9 years, and right now we're running deficits of around $3.55 trillion. Economists like John Taylor, who's an economics professor at Stanford, is already saying this will have a very small impact on the U.S. economy. And what we're essentially talking about is a drop in the bucket in terms of what the spending cuts really amount to. And so the dreaded Beltway hour of doom and gloom known as the sequester has arrived. The world has not ended. and we're going to continue to go forward. In fact, the stock market is pushing through up toward within shouting distance of record highs that were set on October 9th, 2007.
If a CEO talked this type of hysterical nonsense as the president has been doing, and then was revealed to be a fraud, would investors not want to vote? Would investors not want to invest in this company?
Yes, they would not want to invest in the company. I mean, the president, by the way, has more than enough authority to avoid harm to, laying off air traffic controllers or meat inspectors, or not putting, certain Navy, operations in needed parts of the world. Nobody talks like that in this day and age. And so essentially what the president is saying is that it's not up to him, it's the GOP's fault. We know now the president has advocated these sequestration cuts, and what he is talking about instead is more spending, but also tax hikes in his idea. He wants to increase taxes yet again on a very stressed economy. So the economy is growing at about, we saw 0.1% in the fourth quarter. That would easily tip into a recession if there's a revision downward. The economy is growing at 1.52% annually. 3 million less people are working since the president took office. All of that spending has not amounted to much. People will say, yes, it filled potholes in the U.S. economy, government spending. But when you have an X-ray blanket of doom and gloom talk, of the hyper-regulation, the smothering pillow of increased taxes under this White House and the Democrats in Congress, you got to say to yourself, what is the whole picture here? What is happening to the U.S. worker and the U.S. economy?
And so what's next logistically? He signs this thing like close to midnight, and then we have the March 27th deadline?
Yeah, and that's the the debt ceiling deadline. Listen, I think that the American people are possibly saying to themselves, we see this in poll results. They're looking around and they're saying, why are we careening from manufactured crisis to crisis to crisis? As one economist said, the debt ceiling was not created by Martians from outer space. It was made by people in Washington, D.C. Taxpayers pay Washington, D.C. officials to do their day jobs. The Senate has not passed a budget in about 3.5 years. We the Washington, D.C. works for the U.S. taxpayer. U.S. taxpayers do not work for Washington, D.C. So having covered business for about 2 decades right now at the Wall Street Journal and Forbes, and having covered the IRS and taxes, what is always striking to me is that is the hidden story, that not just that the tax code is the 21st century pork barrel. I'm always concerned about what the IRS is being asked to do. And when you have a bigger government, you have a bigger IRS. The IRS now has to oversee health reform as well, and that is concerning. We've got 70 million baby boomers who are going to be above the age 65 in 2029. So when you see the fights over infinitesimal amounts of spending cuts, you got to say to yourself, is this political? Are these fights political? The answer is yes.
Of course they are, Elizabeth MacDonald, and I just say that if you want to understand how Obama runs the country, look at how Chicago politics is run. It's the same thing, doom and gloom, scare tactics, and make people believe that they work for the government.
Well, he's going to go on a spending tour, by the way, and you got to say, is he doing that? I'm wondering if that spending tour bus should have the debt clock in the front of it, because the Democrats, right in the grill there, because the Democrats have said, you take down that debt clock in our hearings because it embarrasses us. Well, you know what? The American people have to understand that our taxes are going to pay all the interest costs on all the debt borrowing that's going on. China right now is dialing back, saying, wait a second, we're just going to sit on the dollar amount of debt we've already bought from the U.S. government. We may not buy any more. So that leaves it up to the U.S. taxpayer to pay the interest costs on that escalating debt.
There's no free anything, is there?
There's no free anything, that's
Thanks,
right.
Elizabeth MacDonald
Great
from Fox
information.
Business Network. Thank you so very much.
Always delighted.
Wow.
Well, you know what? It's the Chicago way, nationalized now.
The world is not ending.
John Cass, Lauren Cohn, back after this.
89 WLS.
Join us today at 5 for the WLS Sports pregame show.
We'll get you ready for the Blackhawks and the Blue Jackets.
Plus, the top 5 at 5 on 89 WLS.
John Cass, Lauren Cohn, do the Republicans have the backbone to stand up to this, or will they crack? Let's see, Bob from DeKalb. Quickly.
Hey guys, I'll make it short. Yeah, I'm originally from Chicago.
Quickly,
I'm
Bob.
not a transplant like Obama, and if I was Mitch McConnell or Boehner, the meeting would be very quick. I go in and say, hey, you know what? Stick it. You made your bed, now you sleep in it.
But they
don't. For your comments.
I don't think.
Guys.
Thanks, Bob. I don't think they have the backbone for that. And then there's a text from 847. Let's see, and it was the last minute. No, I can't find that text right now. Lauren, what do we have coming up?
We have another good story. You know the story that's been out for the last couple of days, the Yahoo CEO that banned people from working from home? We've got a Chicago CEO, Huma Gruaz of Alpatech, who's going to tell us about how she instituted the policy, and it's creating more productive workers. So we're going to talk about this because obviously this is a big issue. A lot of people on social media have been talking about it, and we are going to hope you're going to join the conversation coming up next.
591-8800, text from 630. You know what? When I can find text on this thing, I'll start reading them. John Cass, Lauren Cohn, back after this.
What difference at this point does it make?